More than 60 MPs have written to Victoria Newton, the editor of The Sun, to ask for an apology and action taken against Jeremy Clarkson. Last Friday, the former Top Gear star wrote a controversial column published in the newspaper about Meghan Markle. Caroline Noakes, a Conservative MP who is also the chair of the Women and Qualities Selection Committee, coordinated the letter, and it has been signed by members of all major parties. The letter states that Meghan Markle has received threats to her life and that Jeremy Clarkson has contributed to an unacceptable climate of hatred and violence. The print media regulator IPSO has reported that over 20,000 people have complained about the article, in which Jeremy Clarkson said he hated Meghan on a cellular level. The article was published the following day after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary, in which Jeremy Clarkson said he disliked Meghan more than Rose West, the serial killer. He also wrote he was dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant, "Shame," and throw lumps of excrement at her. The number of complaints is more than IPSO received in total last year in 2021, which was 14,335. GB News host Patrick Christys held a segment on the show in which he criticized the letter with his guest, Dr. Rukia Bason, a research analyst specializing on British public attitudes and socio-political behaviour. Patrick Christys called the MPs a bunch of frothing hypocrites, while Dr. Rukia Bason asked if politicians would focus on more important issues during a worsening cost of living crisis. The GB presenter added, "Isn't it remarkable as well that they choose to pipe up on this particular issue? Look, like I've said before, loads of people in this country do hate Meghan Markle on a cellular level. It's their right to do so. It's got nothing to do, in my opinion, with race whatsoever. It's got to do with the fact that I think personally is that she comes across incredibly poorly and sometimes behaves like someone who courts a lot of attention." Host Patrick Christys claimed that Meghan Markle had done a lot to really damage the monarchy, therefore the fabric of this nation. He said, "You're perfectly entitled to have views on someone like that." Dr. Rukia Bason seemed to agree and added, "As you say, many people will portray Britain as a fundamentally racist country, and that Meghan Markle is a victim of structural racism or institutional racism at Buckingham Palace. The reality of the matter is, I watched the docuseries, all 6 episodes, unfortunately, and I've not heard so much nonsense in my life." In the letters signed by MPs, the politicians tell The Sun editor they condemn in the strongest possible terms the violent misogynist language. "This sort of language has no place in our country and it is unacceptable it was allowed to be published in a mainstream newspaper." They added, "We cannot allow this type of behavior to go unchecked any longer. We welcome The Sun's retraction of the article and we now demand action is taken against Mr. Clarkson and an unreserved apology to Ms. Markle immediately." Meanwhile, John Nicholson, the SNP Shadow Culture Secretary, has written to the Chief Executive of ITV, Dame Caroline Julia McCall, calling for the channel to fire Jeremy Clarkson. In his letter, John Nicholson wrote, "Following grotesque comments made about the First Minister and the Duchess of Sue,